Yes? What is...
The door is closed. Still nothing. This is not the cleanest bathtub in the world, but it's cleaner than you are right now. That soap scum smell. It smells like life, at least compared to you. The bathtub slowly fills with water. The water beckons. The water is only lukewarm, but still comforting, like amniotic fluid. A few beer cans are bobbing up and down along your flanks, like sad duckies. Now you are alone with your thoughts in the tub, but it's easier than being alone with your thoughts outside the tub. Your fingers grow pale and are covered with tiny whirls as the water cools. You see the corpse. You can still smell the cadaver on you. It's going to take more than one bath to get rid of that stench. Then, houses along a narrow street, a video rental, darkness on the planet's curvature. The waterline recedes as you stand. You are cold now. Your clothes stick to your still moist skin. Behind the dockworkers, a ceiling height window. The hawthorn branches scrape the glass like bony fingers.
It's great to see you again, officer. My wife can't wait to thank you. Go on, talk to her.
Oh, sweetie, I don't even know how to thank you for finding my husband and helping him out. I hope we haven't been too much trouble for you. Here, I want to give you a small token of my gratitude. It's a tie, Mexican origin. The pin is an antique, quite special.
The little silvery knob holding the tie together feels warm in your hand. It's in the shape of an avian skull with 8 eyes. You could ask her about this when you get the time. It's probably a cryptid, but the phasmid, of course, is more important.
Oh, you don't want to hear about some old woman's ramblings.
Ramblings? Nonsense. Your description of the phasmid is the most precise I've ever heard.
But darling, I didn't even get the size of it right.
You were a child, my dear. Really. It's extraordinary what you were able to describe. Now go on. Tell our friend about it. He's proven his interest in the field.
Well, It was summer. I was building a racing track out of sand on the beach near a tall stand of reeds. Quite a tall one. Many times my height, I remember. When all of a sudden... I'm getting ahead of myself. I was 5.5 in Betancourt in the suburbs. My grandmother had a summer home there.
Betancourt got bombed in the war. It used to be quite near, circa 20 kilometers from here.
The strangest moment of my life. I looked up and one of the reeds moved. Not like a plant, but like a living thing. It stood up and looked at me. Its body unfolded like some antique toy. I've never seen anything like it. I didn't know this can happen, so I reached my arm and touched the thing. It felt just like a stalk of reed, but it moved, swaying, towering above me. After a while, 20 seconds, a minute maybe, it left, went into the reeds. I tried, but I was only a child. There was mud and high water. I couldn't see it anymore. I was just standing there knee-deep in mud, looking around me. I ran back home to my grandmother and asked her if reeds could walk, and told her they were looking at me. Of course, she just laughed at me, but I knew what I'd seen. For years, it was a story I told at parties when I wanted to impress boys. That sort of thing. Of course, most people just took it as a strange, amusing anecdote. So did I, honestly. But then I met Morel.
We were on a date. Can you imagine? She tells me a story, and it's the most detailed report of the Insulindian phasmid I've ever heard. The sounds. She told me it hissed.
It did, yes. Like reeds in a gust of wind.
The way it moved, the colour, how some of its limbs were white, like marble. It matched perfectly with what I know from other accounts. It was amazing. If it weren't for Lena, I might have given up hope years ago. It's no exaggeration to say that she restored my faith in my profession.
Our first, yes.
The glance is tender, yes, but tempered by something else. A thought she can't express, even to him.
Not all of them. There is some white coloration reported, along with beige, where the camouflage ends.
It's hard to say how big things are when you're quite small yourself. To me, it seemed to be taller than I was then, but that's probably not the case.
How could she? Who imagines this? She didn't know about the phasmid. This is the main thing here, what makes it a confirmed sighting. She had no previous knowledge of the insect.
That's true, yes. I'm almost certain neither my mother nor my grandmother knew of it. It was only when I started telling my story as a teenager that boys would tell me, Lena, you trying to tell us you saw the Insulindian phasmid out there in those reeds? Get out of here. They just give me a cider and ruffle my hair and tell me to stop dreaming, but I saw it. You're welcome, sweetie. I do appreciate the chance to relive it whenever I get one. It was just such an impossibly Of course, dear. Is there a particular cryptid that you're interested in learning? No. It's the cryptid. Oh, yes. The eight-eyed teratorn, the largest flying avian ever discovered, with a wingspan of 11.5 meters. It was thought to have gone extinct 3,500 years ago. Some even doubted the fossils were real. A mutation, they said. Until...
Mutation? All of evolution is a mutation.
Until it was cited by renowned Gottwaldian explorer and naturalist Uwe Plattenkalk in 21.
This renown seems a bit dubious. Your own catalogue comes up completely empty. But, of course, you are not all-knowing.
It happened on a botanical expedition into the vast and unexplored Oamrau Canyon in southeast Ilmara. Dr. Plattenkalk got separated from his group during a sandstorm. The world's largest canyon system, sweetie. It's a barren waste east of the Erg Desert, an ancient riverbed completely dried up. Alone in the blasted desert heat, the doctor wandered eastward, where man hasn't stepped foot in over 1,000 years, since the fall of Pericarnassus. He was lost, without any navigation equipment and desperately low on water. After a day or two, he noticed a bird high in the noon sky. A great black bird. It seemed gargantuan. Every now and then, the bird would dive down to feed on an animal carcass somewhere on the horizon. But by the time Uwe got there, the teratorn had taken off already, and the carcass was picked clean. This happened many times. Yes, or rather, hunting. A bird that big has a lot of blood in it, and he was dying of thirst. For many days, Dr. Plattenkalk followed the teratorn until they reached a great canyon wall where the bird finally landed to rest. The professor climbed up there with a rock in his hand. He found the bird sleeping with his head tucked under its wing, a great black pile of feathers on the perch. So he approached, slowly squeezing the rock in his fist.
Watch out.
Then, the teratorn suddenly looked at him. He could see it had 8 eyes, 4 on either side of its skull, like a spider. And the man couldn't move. He was paralyzed, frozen into place with the rock in his hand. Whatever he did, he could not get closer to the bird. The bird was controlling his mind. It kept him from approaching. He could step back, but every time he stepped forward, paralysis. Uwe spent 3 days trying until the bird flew away. The eight-eyed Tetatorn was indifferent to him, as long as he didn't get closer than 2 steps. It even let him feed on some carcasses up there, and the 2 unfertilized eggs it left behind. Absolutely, sweetie. Cryptozoologists have been tracing it ever since, but Wamrao is vast, mysterious, and holds many secrets.
Modern radar telemetry shows great promise. We will confirm this one by the end of the decade, latest.
Sadly, yes, but there are numerous reports of 8-eyed bird skulls from Il Mara. And then there's the striking resemblance to the Pericarnassian imperial eagle, an ancient heraldic symbol that is hard to pass off as coincidence. The imperial eagle, too, had 8 eyes.
Not really. It's just stylization. The way they drew eyes. It's not a zoological drawing.
Very, very hard.
This one's very famous. Everyone knows it. People will be looking at that tie on you and thinking, that man is into cryptids. So, what else do you want to know? I'm glad you like them.
Very generous of you to help us out, officer.
Nothing like the gratitude of a good woman. Now then, what can I do for you?
He tries to play it cool, remain professorial, but inside, this man is itching for some news on those traps.
Good. Okay. And? Completely empty?
No locusts? No phasmid either?
That's not ideal, but I definitely left that one stocked.
Right from the campsite? Just means the Insulindian phasmid is even more clever than we thought.
Yes, the Phantasmadeia picked off the locust and escaped. This is good news, though we'll have to reconsider the design of the traps, make them more secure.
Another trip to the reeds.
Of course. Be sarcastic. Unless you have an alternative hypothesis you'd like to venture, mine stands, okay? Actually, no. Excuse me for getting emotional. This is a big deal for us. You've helped us twice now, and brought some great news too. My gratitude, and the gratitude of the Société Cryptozoologique de Ravachol, is
Heartfelt gratitude. But does it feel like closure? What really happened? Consider the way the empty trap was disturbed, as though shaken. Most likely the hands of a young person. Hands small enough to fit inside the trap, too. You should ask the red-headed boy, Kuno.
a little hooligan. But what would a child want with bags?
Oh, my dear Morel, you've been an old man for too long. Kids love to torment insects almost as much as they love to torment old folks. Oh, you've been such a dear to us. Please, let us know whatever you turn up. I have a feeling we're getting so close.
Well, I see you've got all the help you need. I'll see you tonight at my place. Let's play suzerainty, but no more field trips for me.
After this is your last chance to talk to Gary.
Really, Gary? We're getting somewhere here. I'd love to play suzerainty, but...
Lena, I'm sorry, but you're not getting anywhere. It was some kids. I know the little mutants around here. Leave anything out in the open and they'll steal it, even if it's bugs. Morale, it's been fun, really, but I need a bath and I have deliveries to handle. When this tea is done, I gotta run.
No need to apologise, Geary. You've been more than helpful. We'll have to take a rain check on that game of Sue's Reinty today, though. We're gonna...
He keeps the language unemotional, but it's in there. Disappointment.
Always a pleasure to see an officer of the...
The man ponders his cooking utensils. He looks up at you, then shrugging is an international. You see a heavy steel door with the cobalt blue surface, old cobalt paint, rough on the fin. It leads to a side. The door does not.
Fuck does Kuno care? No, Kuno doesn't give a fuck about bugs.
So he knows locusts are bugs.
Oh my god, I told you that shit is lame!
Shut up, C.
Now they're gonna take you to lame prison! Deny everything, Kuno. You need to lawyer up.
Kuno's not gonna say anything without his lawyer present.
Lame. That rings some bells. Could this be connected to Night City? AKA the City of Rage.
Oh god, Kuno, no! It's gonna happen now. They're gonna make you lame.
Stop it, C. No one's gonna make anyone lame. Kuno's got this under control.
There's definitely something going on here. You should check out Kuno's shack, the one with the pig's head.
Kuno doesn't fucking care.
All around you, the hisses and chirps of locusts fill the musky air. The earthen floor of the shack has been shaped into mounds of mud, dotted with little holes for windows. Like skyscrapers, spires of dirt and sand rising. Accommodations for their insectoid inhabitants. Sounds like you found the locust, detective. Heaps of leaves are rotting among the mud-caked towers. Dozens of little locusts feed on them, buzzing away with vicious joy. Kuno has really outdone himself here. It's the work of a self-taught visionary.
okay? Yeah. Kuno took the bugs. So what? It's not Bugtown. It's the city of locusts. Locusts aren't just bug shit. They come out of the sky like a fucking shadow. Shit descends.
Stop!
Locusts coming down like a shadow. This must be the night city he mentioned when you asked him where he's been.
Yeah, Locust City. City of rage. City of lights.
There's a tug of war over the name of his fantastical city. It's almost too big for his imagination. The girl forces herself to watch again, the corners of her eyes twitching from discomfort.
Maybe I am.
Did he just say I? Kuno usually calls Kuno, Kuno.
Kuno made Kuno. Kuno says whatever the fuck he wants. There are no rules here, pig. I fucking say I when I wanna, and Kuno when I wanna. Kuno's free. Kuno's free to fucking die, bitch.
This is what he sometimes does when things get tense.
Oh my god, Kuno! He's gonna make you totally lame in, like, 3 seconds!
Yo, fuck you, see? Kuno can be what Kuno wants to be. Kuno's his own man. Kuno's free. Kuno made himself into Kuno. Kuno can make himself into anything. Kuno can make himself into a pig if he wants. Kuno can make himself into a Kuno doesn't give a shit.
Don't make yourself into a pig, Kuno! You'll have to take me away!
In it, you hear snow melting, dripping from the eaves. Someone closing a window. Without a word, she disappears entirely behind the fence. For once, the boy is lost for words. He turns completely red now, with splotches of white beginning to appear across his face.
It don't mean anything. It's shit. Kuno just likes to focus. Kuno likes to concentrate on shit. Build shit when he's zipping hard. Fuck. Pig, you really shouldn't have fucked with Kuno City. Now it's all fucking lame. I don't give a shit. I don't need the locusts anyway. Shit is all lame now. C was right.
The girl's face appears again, above the fence, just long enough to make eye contact with Kuno. She doesn't know whether to be glad because Kuno is finally convinced of the lameness, or more worried because of his continued use of the first-person singular. Kuno is Kuno, not I.
Kuno's gonna let the fucking locusts die. The fuck are they trying to catch anyway? With the traps?
He recognizes the name.
Bitches think Kuno doesn't know shit. The fuck out of here. Kuno's tired of this shit.
As you leave, you notice his usual rooster-like swaying posture has changed. Slowed down, like clockwork unwinding.
Hello, officer. I think I almost have it. A new trap design, that is. I know you're skeptical, but I have a good feeling about this. So it was just a child.
Thank you for telling us, sweetie. This is good news, right? It means we can try again.
She acts chipper, but something's changed in her tone. A hidden worry. Something is secretly gnawing at her confidence. It's not this Kuno kid or the missing locust. It's something else.
Yeah, you're right. We just need to restock the empty trap. Then we'll need to inspect the traps one more time. And then...
He has a 38-degree fever. His resilience has given way.
Darling, I told you to take it easy. You're getting sick. Maybe it's time to go home.
You're right, you're right. We can come back next season, when it's warmer. Really? It's too much, officer.
What Morel means is we're grateful for your help.
Here's a fresh batch of locusts. They should slide right down the funnel. And thank you again. We will definitely mention you, should this lead to a discovery. I'm not talking co-discovery, of course, but,
Wow. Co-discovery. You'd be famous. You'd show them all. This does tingle the pleasure center. The trap stands empty near the reeds. No insect sounds or movement around. Only the reeds' apprehensive hissing. The locusts, dazed from being transported, slowly begin to acclimate to their new surroundings. They're not really going to get the chance to get comfortable here.
Hello, dear. It's good to see a familiar face. Thank you for doing that, dear. Morel still isn't feeling well. I convinced him to stay at Gary's to get some rest. I'm afraid the cold has really gotten to him. I'm sorry, dear. You've had to drudge through them so many times. Such is field work. A young person's game, as they say.
Her voice is shaky. What is going on here?
Morel will eventually, or we'll talk Gary into going back out, perhaps. That really is too much, sweetie. Thank you for your dedication, but I can see you're coming down with a cough yourself.
Very strange. Why is she not letting you do this? It's like she's given up.
Different? How? I'm in doubt, sweetie. That's all. Everyone is now and then. It's a strange feeling. I haven't really told this to anyone, but you are a police officer. Do you ever wonder if some lovely story from your childhood is just that? A story? Or a dream?
Hunching her shoulders now. She seems even smaller than she is. Like a sad young girl.
Seeing the Insulindian phasmid was just a story I used to tell people. I didn't really think about whether it was real or not. Morel's so proud of it. He always tells everyone. No, sweetie. There's more to it than that. Morel was so eager to believe my story was evidence of the phasmid's existence. That I'm some queen of the cryptozoologists. That. And for years, his belief made me believe too. But now, we're both getting old, and he's still working himself sick out in those reeds looking for it. But what if I was just wrong? I think I was. Yes, I should go now. Poor Morel is running a fever. I need to get him home to Jamrock before we overstay our welcome with Gary. You're welcome, sweetie. I'm glad it helped you, even though it turned out to be a
waste of time. A lie. A fool's hope. Say her lips moving inside. Like that, she drives off. The gas engine putters quietly as she gets to the doors, then pushes them open. Outside, the cold coastal wind blows. The tear machine stands in the corner. Your bottles clunk into the machine, and the money appears. Its draw has not lessened since you were last here. If anything, it seems to have grown slightly. The container door appears unmoved by your attempt at flattery. The door does not respond to your advances. Is it possible that it seems somehow more closed than before? You're back before the cargo container. Its draw has not lessened despite the dirt that surrounds and trails you. A beacon of light emerges from deep within you. The door stands silent. Try again. Just like that, you hear a click, then a rattle. Some mechanism unlocks itself inside the door.
Ahoy! Come on in!
You're back. Good. What can I help you with? More lessons in basic reality? My favorite part of the day. Go ahead, ask me anything. Glad to have been of... You're back. Good. What can I help you with? More lessons in basic reality? My favorite part of the day. Go ahead, ask me anything. Glad to have been of assistance. Of course. Anything to help. I am sorry to have been the bearer of bad news. Of course. Of course. How else can I help? More lessons in basic reality?
A strange coldness comes over you as you look at the world. The waves sway the sloop slowly. That's all. It's on the tip of your tongue, a doubt of sorts already in your head, but it's not fully formed yet. You have to wait and return to this later, once the jamais vu thought is complete.
Glad to have been of assistance.
I have really outdone myself. This is divine.
Yes, that's what you need, Gaston. More padding on that fat arse of yours. I hope your heart gives out.
René, it's a little pleasures. Life doesn't need to be a struggle. Hello, officer. How might I be of assistance on this fine day? Oh, sweet Jenny. She was the finest woman in all of Revachol. Maybe the entire world.
Do not defile her memory, Gaston. Let her rest in peace.
We knew her, all right. Lived on the same street our entire lives, just 2 houses apart. The 3 of us have been best friends since we were 4. She was René's first girl back when the prick was 16. They were courting till he decided he'd rather die for some great ideal than just be happy.
And then you stole her from me.
Oh, officer. It already got ugly nearly 80 years ago when the 3 of us were just learning to walk and talk.
You stole her from me.
Well, technically, you stole her from me, because we'd been pretty close ever since you two had that falling out over the ink you spilled over her pretty yellow dress.
We were just boys then. This was different. You... No point starting this all over again. For the 1000th and the first time. Especially when we have company. Officer.
She died of pneumonia 2 winters ago. It was a quiet passage, peaceful. René and I were both by her bedside when she...
Died. No use sugarcoating it. Won't bring her back, will it now?
Departed. Until the very end she couldn't decide between us. The most indecisive woman I've ever met.
A quick grimace of pain passes over René's features, but he immediately regains control. His face now a dispassionate mask again.
She could never make up her mind about anything. What to have for breakfast, favorite color, or which one of us to marry. She was always leaving one of us for the other, but never long enough to actually get married. Heck, technically, we're both still engaged to her.
You always confused her. Couldn't let us be happy. Seduced her with your fancy words and pastries.
He suddenly remembers you are still there, falls silent, and turns away.
Of course, officer. Memories are all we have left. Sweet, sweet Jen. Of course, officer. Memories are all... Let me think. I heard someone was hanged and left on a tree for a week. But that's all I know, really. No, I'm sorry. And I really would like to assist. You are a good guy, officer. I can see that.
Then help him, you wimp. You have plenty of shoulder with the Gauche caviar in the Union. Someone must know something.
He means caviar socialists.
I wish I could, but I just don't know anything. I always keep my nose clean and don't gossip. Everyone knows and respects that.
Odd. He doesn't seem to be lying, but there's something off here.
I'm not even anyone.
Of course he's holding back. His mouth is so full of union prick he can't even speak properly.
Can I at least finish my fucking sentence before you piss on it? Is that okay, René? I'm not anyone important in the Union. I just know Evrard. Everyone in Martinez knows the Clare brothers. I taught these boys human studies and history in the gymnasium.
What do you know about history? You never witnessed history. Only heard about it years later, when it had already moved on. You don't know history.
The old soldier mumbles something under his breath and turns to face the sea. There he stands, proud, rigid and alone, like a cracking marble statue.
What a prick. The officer was addressing me, not you, Captain. Where were we?
Where were we? What a joyous way of putting it.
Oh, in many ways, yes. Like an honorary member. I attend meetings and parties, help with little things. Evrard, Edgar, and the older debarders all know me. Oh, yes. Not in the technical sense. I don't have a vote or a membership card. But Evrard keeps me on the payroll, just for the little things.
So that's what it was before. Him hiding something. He tries to make it look like he's a big deal in the Union, and now the illusion is disintegrating before your and René's eyes. He doesn't know anything, because no one tells him anything. He's an outsider.
Of course he's not a member. He's not a member of anything. I knew that. He's a Weservein. Turns the way the wind blows and tries to look important. I hate the socialist rabble, but even siding with them is better than living your entire life on the fence. Never committing to anything. Pick a damn side already.
Writing work mostly. Occasionally, he needs something written, and I happen to have a way with words, people say. Oh, nothing official, I assure you. Just essays for the newspapers. About Martinez and how things are and how they could be. Evrard and I have these long talks where...
Well, he tells his little pen man exactly what to say. It's commie propaganda, plain and simple. You should be ashamed of yourself.
That's just the way things work around here. No reason to feel bad about it. I don't even consider myself a regular socialist. Politics is not really something I involve myself in, officer. Officer, I have a vivid imagination. And like I said, I have a way with words. That's enough. No need to sink into politics.
He just fluffs it up.
Of course. Don't sink into anything. Don't sink into any fight. Only sink into your couch.
I believe everyone has the right to think and do whatever they want. Even if it's nothing at all. I'm very adaptable.
Mon Dieu.
Thank you, officer, for being a consummate professional. You'll have this case wrapped up in no time. I'm sorry, officer, but I really don't share food. Nothing personal, it's just a principle.
The only one you have.
The sandwich looks like a culinary wonder. Well made and abundant in components. The author sure knew their craft. In addition to the obvious slice of ham, a fat one, you notice a brim of a tomato peeking from below. And is that mayonnaise?
Believe me, officer, I wish I could help you, but I need this sandwich to keep my blood sugar stable. In my age, you need to pay attention to these things.
And then it hits you. The brilliant bastard has drenched the entire sandwich in honey mustard. That's incredibly decadent and delicious.
Fuck off! It's mine!
A glimmer of respect flashes in Rene's eyes.
Sorry, officer. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it in a bad way. But the sandwich is mine. I'm not gonna share it.
And it's gone.
When the dissidents come to rape our country, he hides. But try to get a bite of his dear sandwich and he gets claws? We are a special kind of vermin, Gaston.
It is such a pleasure to see you again, officer.
A man so principled about his sandwich calls for a principled approach. Time to get political. You really do. Now unleash the fury. Say one of these fascist or communist things or fuck off. Whoa, easy there, Goldmouth. He doesn't have to say anything. Re-engage cop mode and bail out, if you like.
All right. Let's hear them, officer.
You keep coming back. That's good, officer. Keep browsing those clothes, keep saving that economy. The shine on these sunglasses lasts a lifetime, officer. 100% guaranteed.
You sit on the wind-worn wooden planks of the bench. Your feet ache. You finally stop picking your nose. You sit on the wind. Time passes. You wonder how your gun is doing. Hopefully, it's okay. You're really starting to regret the poor way you handled your own sidearm.
Give me a moment.
You hear someone walking around, a poor communard from the looks of it.
Do I have to open the door? Do you have a warrant? I'm not.
It's generally easier to do things if you... This door is made of metal. No one answers. A shift in temperature, the air chills around you. Dust settles on the stony floor. A former architect stands before a slice of window, a room plan in her hand. A cold wave has made the air in the building stand still and frozen, with temperatures falling down to -20 degrees Celsius. Is red from the cold. She's breathing on her fingers, clasping the plan. Traces of sadness are visible in her expression. Faint pencil lines on paper depict the same place, but a missing eastern wall connects the room with the neighboring apartment. Ideas for arranging the furniture have been jotted down. It's clean and empty, with new tapestry embellishing the walls. A standard HB graphite pencil has fallen off a three-legged stool in the middle of the room. She had an eye for beauty.
Hello again, officers.
As you approach the metal grille, you can hear several voices having what appears to be an animated discussion. This must be it. Beyond this door lies the beating heart of radical communism in Martinez. Somehow, the night air softens the smell of trash and sea brine. As the breeze pulls through the canvas like a shuttle through a loom, you catch a hint of something unexpected, something earthy, warm, and burnt. The acrid smell of failure. No, that's just slightly burnt coffee. A smell you would recognize anywhere.
Just look at this pig, sniffing about after hours. Must have slipped my mind. You know how it goes.
The metal grill is cool to the touch. You can make out at least two separate voices. Two voices, both male, approximately early 20s.
Careful with those now. I have it. It's going to work. I can feel it.
The clang of metal reverberates all along the scaffolding. The voices coming from the other side fall silent.
Who's there? Is that you, Maurice? Who said communist? Did we say communist? Get out of here.
For a moment, silence.
What's the passphrase?
There's no response. You begin to wonder whether they've slipped out some back way.
All right. The key's taped to the back of the door frame. Just make sure you put it back when you're done, or we'll all be locked out. and do watch the concrete. It just kind of falls away. In place.
Have fun at your underground meeting, pig. Hope it's a blast.
The two young men are either oblivious to or ignoring your entrance. Their attentions are fixed on whatever it is they're stacking in the middle of the floor. Matchboxes, it appears.
I think it's holding, Alexis.
It is. It's holding.
It's definitely not holding. Those matchboxes are stacked so haphazardly, it's like they want them to collapse.
Careful, careful. Damn, hardly any difference. You're late.
He should know the meeting starts at 10 p.m. sharp.
There's a great deal of tension in this young man's shoulders, more than someone his age should bear. Meanwhile, his companion inclines toward him, eager to catch every word that dribbles from his friend's mouth. Don't let them see you flustered, sire. Play along.
We all have to take precautions, especially during these delicate times. What matters is that you've made it, and that you've done the reading.
Uh-oh. No one said anything about reading. You'll just have to wing this one.
You have? Excellent. Let's hear your critique then. They always say that when they haven't done the reading. Well, this is getting awkward. I'm not sure what you're expecting to find here then.
Maybe he can explain himself.
In the most generous sense, I would say we're cultivating revolutionary consciousness.
Yes, that's probably the best way to describe it.
But more specifically, we're running a reading group. The most rigorous and theoretically advanced materialist reading group in Martinez.
Comrade Steban is a great discussion leader, one of the best at the university.
It's obvious they take this group of theirs extremely seriously. Whatever you do, don't compare it to a common book club.
That's our whole thing. The world is so shallow, all noise and repetition. We're interested in genuinely radical critique.
Precisely. We are not interested in senseless parroting. We like to read critically.
Within the contours of Mazovian historical materialism, of course.
Huh. As though you can call that problem teaching.
One thing you learn quickly at university is that you're not going to find a real education in any lecture hall or discussion seminar.
We are post-attendance, basically.
Exactly. The only worthwhile part of the so-called École Normale de Reversol is the library. That's where we've made our greatest critical strides. We study all the foundational texts of Mazovian theory, of course. Just last week we finished the second volume of Puncher and Watman's Innocence of Capital.
Truly extraordinary.
And before that we spent 6 weeks on State and Plasm.
For some reason, the word plasm catches in your ear like a piece of old wax. Uh-oh. You can feel your attention span rapidly deteriorating.
We've also read Wertmüller's The Megastructure of History, and before that, Real and Reality.
Communist theorists love puns, in case that wasn't obvious.
Hablar's une paix infernale.
The original Fisdale translation, not that watered-down revisionist garbage.
These two deserve the Order of Honor, for bullshitting. There's no way they've actually read all this stuff.
Obviously.
But, of course, our special emphasis is on the theories of Ignace Nilsson and his followers, especially the inframaterialists. You're not familiar with him? It's pretty advanced stuff. You may not be ready for it yet, gendarme. Only Krasmazov's most trusted lieutenant, the evangelist of the revolution, and the founding father of the People's Republic of Samara.
It's hard to overstate how unimpressed he is that you've never heard of this world historical individual.
He also happens to be the greatest communist theorist after Mazov himself. It was Nilsson who first postulated the existence of ideological plasm, which forms the basis of inframaterialist theory.
Those words again. You've got to find out what this inframaterialist stuff is all about. Whatever it is, one thing's perfectly clear. These young students have a much deeper understanding of communism. You could learn a thing or two from them. If you can convince them you're one of them. The young man sighs. His companion looks about furtively.
What do you mean? This is the reading group. We're in something of a rebuilding phase.
Some of our former comrades didn't have the ideological fortitude our work demands.
Intellectual attrition is maybe the best way to describe it. Felix said he couldn't keep up with the reading on top of his classwork. And Susanna wanted to read text other than Mazovian theory. Like novels, if you can believe it.
Imagine the audacity of wanting to read a novel in a reading group.
See? Even the gendarme gets it.
We've tried recruiting new members, but unfortunately the current intellectual climate is pretty hostile to inframaterialist thought. These days, if you're on the left, the ascendant schools are the Godwaldians and their iconoclasts.
Don't forget about Maurice and the turnips.
Right. Then there was the whole turnip debacle. They're the most depressing school of communism. They love writing long books with a patina of Mazovian theory to cover up their cheap psychologizing.
A gang of cheap psychologists and intellectual midgets. Typical Gottwalders, in other words.
It's okay for Uli to say that, because his dad is from Gottwald. The Gottwald school believe that intellectuals as a class are capable of sparking revolutionary change. So all they can do is critique capitalism from inside itself.
In other words, they have lost faith in their own relevance.
That's why they spend all their time smoking cigarettes and writing long works of criticism that make you want to commit suicide. It is miserable. That's probably why they're always committing suicide. You see, the Gottwald school look like communists. They talk like communists. But scratch the patina and you'll see beneath that they're just depressed liberals who've read too many books. For starters, they love talking about beans. That's right. Iconoclasts are obsessed with beans. They love thinking about beans. They love counting beans. But most of all, they love building models to predict how many beans there'll be in the future.
Nota bene, iconoclast is an extra pejorative form of the already pejorative name Mazovian economists. A moderate school of Mazovianism which advocates the gradual transition to communism through carefully managed economic modernization rather than violent social revolution.
They're by far the most bean-centric school of communism. Oh, please. There's nothing moderate about their love for counting beans. If I were a Gotwaldian, I would probably diagnose them with Bonenfixierung. You see, iconoclasts claim to be communists, but in reality they're just liberals with hard-ons for spreadsheets. Of course not. The only people who actually call themselves liberals are mouth-foaming reactionaries.
Basically indistinguishable from fascists. You'd need an X-ray machine to tell the difference.
Cindy is... how to describe her role?
Something of an ideological auxiliary, perhaps.
Yes, that's exactly how I would put it. And naturally, we support her radical counter-liberal aesthetics.
But she refuses to submit an essay, so we can't call her a member of the group per se.
That doesn't stop her from using the room for studio space, of course. It's an unfortunate story. You see, our ex-comrade Maurice is something of an economist.
He's studying macro and microeconomics.
Right. So a few weeks ago we were discussing the extra physical capabilities of the revolutionary state. And Maurice said... what were his exact words, Ulex's?
It was unbelievable. He said, turnips don't care if they are grown by communists, moralists, or Welkin. They grow just the same.
Just a minute. Steban, Ulexis, why do those names ring the faintest of bells? You should get to the bottom of this when you have the chance.
Basically, he was rejecting the whole foundation of inframaterialist theory.
What is this inframaterialist business they keep blathering about? You've never heard of anything like it.
Simply that under suitably revolutionary conditions, crop yields naturally increase relative to non-revolutionary crops, which Maurice somehow has the gall to deny.
Susanna said that he has been hanging out with some non-communists lately.
For us, the question boiled down to, if you don't even accept the basic ideas of Nielsen and inframaterialist theory, why are you in the reading group? Of course you do. It's pretty basic stuff. Well, it wasn't so much that he was expelled.
He just quit coming. We haven't seen him around for weeks.
Go ahead. Clinching? No. We're not an operational cell.
We think of ourselves as more of an intellectual vanguard.
Our stance? What? Do you want to know if the SRV has established a party line on the lynchings in Martinez?
Though historically speaking, the SRV has supported direct action against right-wing paramilitary squads, especially when they are doing the Indo-tribes' dirty work.
Good point. So as a provisional matter, I can say we support it.
Are they being sarcastic? You feel like you're caught in some elaborate joke labyrinth, but it's impossible to see your way through.
No, we're an independent organization. We acknowledge and respect the union's efforts, but our interests are more theoretical than Mr. Clare's.
He speaks the truth.
That's easy. Crime is simply the inevitable expression of the injustice and incoherence embedded within capitalism itself. It's a symptom, in other words, not a cause.
His companion can barely suppress a yawn.
No, unfortunately, the communards were hunted down and killed nearly to a man. All that's left of them are bones and old rifles.
His companion's eyes widen as you hold up the ancient weapon.
Yes, like that one. I wonder how many of these are still lying around in cellars or sealed up behind the masonry. Can I hold it? It's heavier than I was expecting.
The attitude of a priest bearing one of the holy relics of his faith. Though it is long out of service, its power is evident to him. When he's finished, he returns the rifle to you with a nod of appreciation. The young man frowns at the little pile of boxes on the floor.
Nothing, just messing around until the meeting started.
They're watching those matchboxes awfully intently for two guys who are just messing around. It's almost as though they were trying to create the most unstable structure they could. With predictable results.
You've read our article.
That I did not expect.
Well, don't keep us on tenterhooks. What did you think of the essay?
Time to meet these two on the intellectual battlefield. Why don't you show off those highly developed critical faculties of yours? The young man takes the folded up magazine with some hesitation. As he reads over your annotations and emendations, a look of deep concentration comes over his face.
What does it say, Steban? I can't see.
They're good notes. A little brutal on questions of style, but he's not wrong about any of it. Would it be alright if I kept this for a while? I'd just like some time to think about your comments. Thanks, I appreciate it. We typically only accept new members once per semester. There's this whole process with essays and presentations on assigned topics. But given that we have some extra seating at the moment, I guess we could be convinced to expedite an application or two.
Steban, you can't be serious. For gendarme?
I am serious. As materialists, we've got to adapt to conditions as they are. Besides, he'll still need to pass the interview portion of the entrance process. Assuming he's even still interested, that is. Sure, we're here most every night. Maybe we'll catch you again.
Sleep well, gendarme.
The gendarme returns. What do you need? Yeah, it's hers. She just sort of moved it all in a few months ago.
She said if she's going to make truly radical art, she needs a suitably radical workspace.
And I don't think she could afford rent at an actual studio. Oh, sure. It's definitely interesting, I would say.
Interesting? Isn't that just Bino Claude for I don't have a real opinion? His companion's eyes widen with interest. He has a cold smile. If this is what the Union man meant by theory combat, you've just scored a decisive blow.
Come on. It's not that I don't have anything to say about Cindy's art. It's more that I'm still working out the details. It's a complex question. You've got to take your time with it. I guess you could call her latest stuff a sort of counter-bourgeoisie calligraphy. She's got a real taste for radical slogans.
It's too bad she hasn't developed the theoretical foundation to do truly radical work.
I think she'll get there, though. She's still looking for a subject equal to her ambitions. The deal? At a fundamental level, I guess you could call it the shattered bones of a dream crushed by capital.
That's really good, Steban. You should save that for an essay.
Thanks, Uli. When the idea is sound, the words just sort of flow.
Yes, now keep developing the idea.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Not as good as Steban's original idea, though.
Go ahead.
What's there to be scared of? You've really been cracking the books these last few days. You can go toe to intellectual toe with any reading group in Martinez. You've spent a not inconsiderable amount of time arranging the works in your mental library by theme and period. All the ideas and references you'll need are ready at hand. Now, chin up. You've got this.
Oh, you want to start now? Sure, we can manage that.
You've caught him off balance. The momentum is already in your favor.
Go ahead and take a seat. Since we haven't had time to prepare an exhaustive questionnaire, I think we can keep this interview more freeform. Why don't you tell us a bit about the books you're interested in, and we'll just see where the conversation goes. Absolutely. It's the only proper foundation to develop a real understanding of events. Interesting. Say more about that.
This is a good start. They're starting to loosen up. You feel relaxed and in control. Soon, you're in a lively back and forth on the political substrata of the Hiamdalaman universe.
But don't you think that pornographic fascist mythology gets pretty tiresome after a few books?
Let them know your interest in muscleman literature is much more high-minded than they're giving you credit for.
Ah, well, there's certainly value in that kind of reading. Comrade Mazov says something on that note in his collected speeches.
To find victory in the cultural war, we must first scout the battlefield.
These kids are eating out of your hand, practically. Another quarter of an hour disappears. The questions come rapid fire, but you have an answer for every one. Now you can sense things starting to slow down. The interview must be reaching an inflection point.
But to Comrade Ulix's point, isn't there value in reading really difficult books, just for the sheer challenge of it? Oh, right. 16 days of coldest whatever. What was your take on it?
Now's your chance to end this interview on a high note. You ably summarize the novel's characters and themes. Even better, you're able to connect those themes to your critique of the novel's formal qualities, such as they are.
Sounds to me like a typical bourgeois social novel, designed to assuage the egos of frustrated housewives and win international awards. And Gradian realism is the worst realism. It's nearly as bad as Gottwaldian critical theory.
Makes you want to gouge your eyes out. Or better, gouge the author's eyes out.
In any case, I think we've heard enough. We could use someone with your perspective in the group. With just a bit more theoretical foundation, I think you'll be making real contributions.
Yes, I would say he's got serious potential at least.
And with that, welcome to the most ideologically advanced materialist reading group in Martinez. Here's your first assignment. It's an overview of inframaterialist theory. A little basic, as you'll see, but one has to start somewhere. Come back when you're done. We'll be here pretty much every night after 10 p.m. Do be sure to take your time with the reading. We'll be eager to hear your thoughts.
Hello again, officers.
It's getting late, and it's raining. Time to call it a day. A brisk coastal wind still howls against the window of the shack. Occasionally, the waves crawl in under the foundation, producing a low hum. The room feels muffled, like you pulled your hat over your ears. Outside, it is cold and windy, but you're inside, and it feels safe and warm.
What is this place to you?
Waves crash onto the beach, drowning the reeds. Far to the south, a congregation gathers to a soup kitchen in a shelter for the homeless. An old woman gives out knitted scarves for free. This could have been you. This could still be you. A down-on-his-luck nobody, trying to survive. Outside, the howl of the wind has picked up. The waves crash against the stilts again. It's as if you think the thought, but in someone else's voice.
Look under the floorboards.
An old mirror hangs on the wall. You see the reflection of your face in it, such as it is, without the expression. On the table, you see a bowl of water, a rough soap, and next to it, a small hand mirror. A straight razor soaks inside the wash basin. The water reflects back a vague image of your face. Nose bulbous and red, hair unkempt, wrinkles lining the eyes and forehead. The stash is gigantic. A fresh start looms ahead. Clean yourself up and be born anew. The bed is comforting, if a bit run down. Still, you've earned a rest. The bed underneath you is soft, if lumpy. Waves wash the sand underneath the hut, then grow distant to your ear. In the quiet hum of the organic heater, you fall asleep.
Like a deftly cast fishing net, sleep pulls you out of the world and into its dark shore. The rough mesh chafes, tightening around you, it digs into your brain.
How have things been going for you out there? Helped anyone lately? Saved anyone lately? Murdered anyone lately?
This bastard isn't even listening to you.
Because you know you are a murderer. A disco music listening psycho killer who offs poor people. And then forgets about it.
Hear that? You are naive to think he's afraid of his bloodied hands. Soul brother. Oh no. I see inside his amygdala and his hippocampus. The thing he's really scared of is much, much worse than that.
Don't tell him, sister. It's too bad.
They're right. This is their function. To keep you from it.
We're trying to help you. All these processes, these tortures, voices and tremors are all just distractions, flares and countermeasures to keep you from the last dream, the worst of them all.
The last dream will be total annihilation. Cinders peeling off the fuselage. We won't be there to help you anymore, Harry. We will be dormant. You will be naked and alone.
Of hell, an ancient sadness, brother. 10,000 years later, in front of the video rental, there is a warm breath on your face again. Everything is okay again.
Everything is so okay. Your eyelids flutter open for a moment. When you close them again, you sense the light of the room around you. You're back. In 2 seconds, the alarm will ring.
The last thought in your head before waking is, you need to go to the church.